Exterminate!
I'm the Doctor.
I'm a Time Lord. I'm from the planet Gallifrey, the constellation of Cerberus. When I see a rat,
Time and relative dimension in space.
It means life.
Season's greetings, humans, Daleks, Time Lords and killer Christmas trees. You are listening to Exterminating Doctor Who on Utter Radio.
This is the show to take unpopular episodes of Doctor Who and debate whether they're really all that bad.
With your hosts Aidan and Gula.
And me, George Ellis.
And in today's episode, we are talking about the Christmas specials. It's a bit of a different episode this week, really. Usually we focus on one episode and say, this has a bad reputation, let's give it a second chance. This time, we're deciding we're going to take on 13 Christmas specials.
Quite a few, isn't it?
So it's going to be slightly different structure than what
Yeah,
we're used to so far.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, you listeners, you'll be used to what we kind of... You're used to this show by now. You know what you're tuning in for. It's a little bit of discussion mixed with a bit of crazy rabbit hole wackiness.
Yeah, but what's great about this one is we're going to count every Christmas special from 2005 to 2017, David Tennant's first episode to Peter Capaldi's last, not counting the random Christmas special in Classic Who, which is just a First Doctor episode where at the end of one of the parts, in the middle of a story, he just turns into the barrel of the camera and just says, "Merry Christmas, everybody," for no apparent reason,
like
really.
Speech.
So that won't be counted. And what's great about this one is we can't ramble about any 13th Doctor era stuff because
There aren't any Christmas
she
ones, are
only
there?
has New Year's specials. And
Yeah.
it's recently been announced that Revolution of the Daleks. Well, I say recently at time of recording. When this goes out, it'll be weeks old news.
No. We record this on Christmas Day,
Yes,
thank you very
absolutely. We definitely didn't see the trailer like 3 days ago, and now it'll be about 3 weeks. And it's
much. We've
probably
been
a
in
new
this studio
trailer
for
out.
about a minute, not 4 hours, we promise.
Yeah, a trailer came out recently and announced it's going to be on New Year's Day. So those Resolution and Revolution of the Daleks won't be counted.
Wait, Resolution of the Daleks?
It was Resolution, but everybody just said, surely it should have just been Resolution of the Daleks, because that's most Dalek episodes end with of the Daleks.
Yeah,
at the
but
end of it.
Resolution of the Daleks doesn't make sense.
No, which I suppose is why they just went for Resolution. Because it is on a New Year's special. See what they did there.
Resolution of the... What are the Daleks? I'm a Dalek and I've decided not to be a murderer anymore.
It's also it would have been quite complicated looking at the two New Year specials, and one would be Resolution of the Daleks, and the next one is Revolution of the Daleks. You changed one letter in those
The Revolting
titles.
Daleks.
Yeah.
The recompense Daleks. They
Yes.
were... Have you been in an accident? That wasn't your fault. Well...
So thank God we're not going to be discussing those episodes.
Yep.
So I think to familiarise ourselves, and you listening at home...
And me, because I...
And you. Because I imagine there's a lot of people that go, I know I've seen the Christmas specials, but I couldn't list them all for you. As there are 13, I think we're going to run through. We'll give some general thoughts, some discussion into them, and then at the end we would say, okay, which is your favourite of those?
What's the best? That kind of thing.
And then inevitably, they'll probably be...
Yeah, we'll do our favourites, and then kind of which one is objectively
the best. Because there's always a clear difference between best and favourite. I have so many things that I think, this is
Well,
my favourite.
unless it's Batman the Animated Series, and then my favourite and the best are renowned to be...
one and the same.
They are. Yeah. Damn it. I tried to sound smart there, and then my brain went, actually, George, let's make you sound like an idiot.
Yes, let's not finish that sentence, said George. James? Who's James?
My brain, we call him James now, apparently.
Okay, right. The first Christmas special, 2005. Christopher Eccleston as Doctor has just regenerated. And then we went straight in.
He regenerated into this kind of new
And then he
kind of Doctor, didn't he? What was his name? I forget the name of...
Ooh, I think it was the 10th Doctor. What was his name?
He's forgettable. He's renowned to be one of the worst, isn't he? Yeah.
David Tennant, that's it.
Yeah.
Do you remember him?
No.
Well, he started with a bang in the Christmas Invasion. Well, I say a bang. It was a fizzle, then a
More
bang.
of a tangerine.
Because he's not in it for about 40 minutes.
No.
Well, he is, but he's lying in bed.
Yeah.
But it's a really nice episode for... Let's go start with Christmas first. What have you got? You've got the pilot fish, robot Santas. You've got a killer Christmas tree. It's on Christmas Day. Everybody's in their pyjamas. How much more Christmassy can you get?
It's the most grounded Christmassy thing in Doctor Who I think I've ever seen.
Well, it is, because it's all in council flat, essentially, isn't it? Between a council flat and the unit base.
Yeah.
And then the Sycorax ship in space, but
no. Right. This episode, I love it so much.
oh, it's great.
Like, he has a sword fight. The Doctor has a sword, like, yeah, sure.
He quotes Lion King.
Hand gets cut off, hand goes back, and it's like, boom.
Yeah.
That hand comes back later to make a new Doctor.
Yeah.
He's actually human. Oh, it's amazing. I love this episode. And he fights in his pajamas. And then when he does here's something really good about this episode. You know when he gets his outfit and he goes in this wardrobe and you see more of the TARDIS?
Yeah.
I love that bit, because isn't that like one of the first times we properly see in New Who?
In New Who, it's the first time we see
Yeah.
more of the TARDIS beyond the console room.
And I think it's just nice. It kind of gives it a bit more of a...
I love seeing more of the TARDIS. Like, did you ever play the Doctor Who adventure games?
Maybe.
They were like a web-based thing. You had to download them, and it was at the start of Matt Smith's era. And they released one every now and then. The first one was a Dalek one, then there was a Cyberman one. Then I think the next one was one set entirely in the TARDIS. And that was my favourite one. It was usually seen as the worst one, but I liked it because you could go up to the Doctor's study and you could see all these different,
it's like with me,
different rooms.
in any Batman game, if they give me access to a Batcave, it immediately becomes my favourite. Because I just like being able to explore that area,
that space, yeah.
It's something you feels personal to the character.
And especially if it's a character who's got a bit of a mystery, like the Doctor. You
Yeah.
sort of,
What would the Doctor have in...
yeah, you think, what would his bedroom look like?
Exactly. It's really...
Does he have a bedroom?
Have you ever actually seen his bedroom?
No.
Ooh. What if he doesn't sleep?
We've seen, like...
If it's a waterbed, that's the most Doctor thing in the world.
We've seen, like...
Or just a tent just pitched in one of the rooms.
Yeah. We have seen, like, a room of, like, his... I guess it's... I was about to say his collection, but that sounds like his collection. It's just, like, bits he's found from the universe and stuff. You see rooms like that where it's just, like, his cot from when he was a baby.
His
It's just
Funko
over there
Pops.
yeah, essentially. But that's a nice moment of Christmas Invasion. It's such a nice... Like you said, it's grounded. And it's the first dealing with regeneration for the new series. And it doesn't feel patronising to classic Who fans who are well versed in what regeneration is. They've had 8 of them. They're like, yes, we know what regeneration is, thank you very much. But it doesn't feel patronising to them at all, because we see a new perspective of regeneration, in that we've seen the Doctor dealing with regeneration. He's had, the fifth Doctor in his first episode. He spent most of it lying down in a room that the name escapes me and I'm going to kick myself, but he's like, I've just regenerated. I just need to lie down for a bit. You all right?
I mean, it is exhausting
we've seen it.
Organising your entire physical structure.
Yeah, we've seen the Doctor's perspective of it and how it affects him, but this really is how the people around him react to regeneration. It's a really nice concept and nice to see.
And with any kind of story, I love a good... the main character, out of commission for most of the episode, you see every kind of sidekick do their jobs, doing what they can, and then the main character's like, I'm better now, and just kicks ass.
Yeah.
Something about that I love so much.
So it's nice. It's nice. I think Rose and Jackie, don't they have a scene where I think Jackie says something like, well, is that the same person? Has he just changed his face, or is that somebody else? And Rose just goes, well, how should I know? And it's like, I really like that
And
way of
then
just like, even Rose had been character.
Jackie's fantastic in this.
Yeah.
Especially the, I need... Do you know he's going,
Yeah,
I need...
and she's like, just listing loads of random things, and it's just, I need you to shut up.
Oh, what's one of... For a Doctor element in this episode, do you know the bit where he doesn't give second chances? I love that, because it shows he's kind. He's cruel, but he's kind, you know? Fair.
Well, no, it shows something that's really good about the 10th Doctor is he comes across, and it obviously builds up to the Time Lord Victorious, but he comes across as the nice, human, and the friendly Doctor. No, this Doctor is not friendly. He's not. He will pretend he is, and he will want to be.
And he'll like you if he likes you, but if you're a bad guy...
Underneath it all, this Doctor is... Actually, there's a lot of sinister about him. In that he's a very vain Doctor. He's very self-centered as a Doctor. Not negative points.
Justifiably so, to be fair. If you look like David Tennant.
These aren't negative points, I'm just saying this Doctor is... And when we go on to the next Christmas special, you see more of it, and it's just like... This is the first instance of that. And I wouldn't say it's the best first Doctor's episode.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe Matt Smith's is a bit more of, boom, this is what this Doctor's about. The
thing is, we don't spend much time with this Doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
So
we don't have enough of that in this episode, but we still get the 5 minutes when he opens the door and he's much more charming and smiley from the very emotionally blunt Doctor of the ninth.
It feels like maybe it's a kind of a false face. because he's still feeling like the Ninth Doctor inside in a way.
So it's like, it's nice that he just shows up. You think, oh, this is brand new. He's younger. He's more energetic. He's, more attractive. Got better hair. All this kind of thing. But then he will have this fight, and then he will still go, no second chances. That's what I'm about. The next one is the Runaway Bride.
I know.
Which was,
I know it. Yeah.
Yes, which is Donna's introduction. Strangely enough, Catherine Tate was obviously huge at the time this came out, with the Catherine Tate Show and Lauren Cooper and Am I Bothered and all that sort of stuff.
I've warmed to Catherine Tate because of Doctor Who.
She is my second favourite comedian ever.
When I first saw her in Doctor Who, she annoyed me a little bit because it was a bit like, I don't know. She did, to be fair.
But I really like the way she's introduced, because it's like this, again, it's all about building up the new era of Doctor Who, in that the last one was dealing with regeneration. This is the first time New Who deals with regeneration. This is the first time we see the Doctor with a different companion in New Who.
Nice change of pace.
Because we've had Rose all this time. So really, once Rose is gone, this is a bit like,
can the Doctor stand up on his own feet?
Is Doctor Who going to work without Billie Piper? Or do we need her as a companion? And then rather than somebody who's infatuated with the Doctor and loves everything that he does, you get somebody who really does not care.
It's a really lovely change of pace.
And she's just all this like...
switches it up.
And she's like, you're just a Martian in a skinny suit, and says things like that. And it's just so many
Skinny boy!
So many lines like that where you just think, the Doctor's like, wait, what? He's never really had anybody to back chat him before.
Yeah, no one
and
with it's great.
It's such a refreshing dynamic.
What I was saying, originally I found her a bit annoying for some reason, and my mum did as well. But really, in kind of as the series progressed, and kind of in hindsight, really warmed to her. Probably one of my. She's very good, and
Donna's
it's a fantastic
Donna is
dynamic.
my favourite companion.
You just said one of your second. You just said top two?
No, I said Catherine Tate is my second favourite comedian.
Gotcha. No. Okay, yeah.
Donna is my favourite companion.
Yeah. No, but really warm to her, and I think she's fantastic. And I think this episode is a fantastic introduction for her. And
then she leaves for a series.
Yeah.
Because it was intended that she was just going to be a one-off guest star. That was the idea. Because she was so huge, they never thought they could get Catherine Tate as a regular in Doctor Who. So they were just like, we'll get you on for this episode. And then when it came to series 4, somebody was just talking to Catherine Tate about something. Because they were planning a new companion called Penny. And then they were talking to Catherine Tate once, and she was like, oh, I'd be open to coming back to Doctor Who. And they were like, wait, really? You want to come back to Doctor Who? And she was like, yeah. So they went, we'll just push Penny to the side and we'll bring back Donna.
Had they cast Penny?
They hadn't cast Penny.
Oh, thank God. That would have been cruel.
They had ideas of who they wanted it to be, but
do we know who they were?
Maybe, but you don't tend to talk about casting somebody who doesn't happen, do you? I'm thinking what I've learned from Russell T Davies's book, The Writer's Tale, which is an absolutely incredible book. And he says a lot of stuff that I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. But
imagine reading. Get your vocab from TV I do.
I'm about 3/4 of the way through it. I haven't finished.
I thought you were about to say 3/4 of the way to 70.
No, just before carry on with this special, there is. Do you know in Partners in Crime, the episode with the adipose and all of that,
which is probably one of the best Doctor episodes,
series openers,
especially with the bit through the window. That whole scene is incredible.
That bit through the window,
and the pen and the.
You know the woman who is strapped to the chair, the journalist who is strapped to the chair. Do you know what she's called?
Penny.
Penny. That's Penny.
Oh.
That is Penny strapped to the chair. That's who the companion would have been.
That's kind of interesting because it means if she wasn't there, if Donna wasn't there at the time, that probably would have happened. That's kind of cool. That's like a classic kind of multiverse, parallel universe, split choice things. In a different universe, she probably would have been the companion. But it was just a matter of coincidence. That I like, actually.
I really like that.
So right, favorite bit of this episode for me? They had a chase in a car with a TARDIS.
I was just about to say that bit when she's in the taxi and it's driven by another pilot fish, and she's like, "Oi, mate, stop the car! You've missed the turning." And she pulls the hood down. It's a robot. And she's like, "Wait, what?" So the TARDIS is flying along.
I do love how
flying along the motorway, and the
TARDIS. The Doctor doesn't care where he puts the TARDIS. Can I fly it through the middle of a motorway?
Yeah. And he's just like, "Jump!" And she's like, "I'm in my wedding dress." And he goes, "Yes, you look lovely. Now jump."
The thing that really made me warm to Donna is the dynamic that David and Catherine have. Yeah. It is so good.
But this episode, something we've not touched on here, is about the setting out who this Doctor is. we get that great moment when he's killing the giant rat. When he's
Yeah, that's a phrase you should put out.
when he's killing
We get
the
this great
giants-
moment where he's just murdering.
Yeah, well,
these-
it's when he's killing the Rachnos and he's got all those baubles flying around, exploding everything, and the whole room is it's so much water because they're literally draining the Thames. That's how much water there is. There's all this water happening. He's just stood there in a nice Dutch angle, and he's just sopping
For all
wet.
those who don't know what a Dutch tilt or Dutch angle is, it's where the camera's slightly tilted to the left or right to kind of give an idea that it's a bit kind of slanted bit. And it's the idea to make it seem like something's off. Because obviously if the camera is slightly tilted, you don't feel comfortable with that camera angle. It's a bit, what's happening here?
I was on holiday in Wales earlier this year, and
Wales?
I was teaching my mum what a Dutch angle is. So then we went somewhere that day, and I went, "Oh, just take a photo of me, will you?" She did it in Dutch angle. It was amazing. I was like, "Oh, wow, you're learning." But the great thing about this episode here is, again, this is that side of the Doctor where he's been really nice all episode, and then this is the real 10th Doctor when he's just stood there and the whole room is blowing up.
There's darkness.
The Rachnos is screaming. He's killing all her children, and then Donna just goes, "Doctor, you can stop now." And then that's when what is so good about Donna as a companion, more so than somebody like Rose is just sort of like, yeah, she's a yes man. Rose is a yes man. Donna challenges him.
Well, Rose is infatuated by the Doctor.
Exactly.
So you
But
see that
Donna,
kind of, yeah.
So Donna really challenges him a lot, and I think the best companions are those who challenge the Doctor. So she challenges him
Yes.
so much because she is there as like the human conscious. The Doctor is this almighty Time Lord, but sometimes you need to remember.
He forgets because
we
he's
need
so
to
old. He
remember
just
we
forgets.
need to rein him back, and she's there like, "Doctor, you can stop now." And then he looks down at Donna and thinks, "Oh my God, what am I doing?" And then they leave, and I think that's such a good moment.
I have to agree with that wholeheartedly, and just kind of give him a bit of, just a bit, someone to just tell you that you're being an idiot sometimes.
Yes.
You need friends like that. You need friends that care about you, but you need those, but you need friends who tell you when you're being an idiot.
Indeed.
Don't you dare.
What?
So you just, I was hoping.
I was about to move on to
I was
Voyage of the
I was
Damned.
setting you up perfectly to just say, George, you're an idiot, and you didn't do it. How?
No,
Oh,
because I'm ready to talk about Voyage of the Damned.
Voyage of the Damned. That's the one with the Titanic, isn't it?
The one with the Titanic.
Yeah.
It is a disaster movie in space.
Mm,
And my God, is it good.
it's very good.
It is usually number one on a lot of people's best Christmas specials lists. You've got the Doctor again without companion. Am I right in saying that every David Tennant Christmas special he doesn't have a companion? Yes, I am. He only has guest companions, and in this case, we have Kylie Minogue.
My word, I completely forgot Kylie Minogue was in it for a second. Then I
Another-
remember there was someone in it, but I couldn't remember the name.
Another one that Russell T Davies talks about in his book, where it was sort of like it started out as a joke, kind of. It was like, wouldn't it be funny if we could get Kylie Minogue in Doctor Who? Oh, she wants to do Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
That's
God!
how
Let's
big
get
Doctor
her.
Who
Let's
was.
get her in.
Oh my God.
Let's get her in Doctor Who. And
No.
she does a really good job as Astrid Peth.
I'm going to be honest with you. I did not know her name for the life of me. It was just Kylie Minogue.
I do, and that's quite shameful.
Well, speaking of names, do we actually know the Doctor's real name?
The Timeless Chap, no.
All right, what's his name?
We don't know his name,
Oh,
because that would undermine the whole point of Doctor Who.
yeah, I know.
What is the title of the programme? Doctor Who?
Mr. What?
If they said what his name was, what is the point of the programme anymore?
So people don't know his name. All right. Right. I really like this episode. To be honest, when it comes to Christmas specials, this one always kind of, for me, never really springs to mind whenever I think greatest Christmas specials. Because I think it's so good, it doesn't scream to me in any way. You know, like how a bad episode screams to you because it's like, this is bad.
Yeah.
It's so good, it's just kind of like, you know?
It's
a
like an
weird-
inevitable one. If people go, what's your favourite episode of Doctor Who? What are your favourite episodes of Doctor Who? And you think, this one. And somebody would go, Voyage of the Damned, Midnight. And you go, well yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the other ones here.
it's so good, your brain just accepts it to be good, so you never need to discuss it in a weird way. It's
Yeah.
very strange. But I'd say this has probably got my second favourite David Tennant moment in it ever in this episode. That is the moment where he says, and it's in our opening titles for this, where he says, and I can't remember for the life of me, I'm going to butcher this.
I'm the Doctor. I'm 900 years old. I come from the constellation of Castorbrus. Blah, 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 blah.
Gallifrey.
Yeah.
Something.
I'm paraphrasing.
I'm
the man to save all your lives and everybody else on this ship. Something
yeah,
like that.
because someone asks him, why are you in charge? And instead of doing
Yeah.
the Peter Capaldi where he just says, I'm in charge, he gives you a little speech because he's feeling like speech time. No, but that bit is amazing. And that is second to the bit in Timeless Child. Oof.
Oh no.
I know. I don't know. You've been saying it like 7 times today. The bit in
We're avoiding Chibnall era stuff.
Waters
okay?
of Mars. You know, in Waters of Mars, where he comes back and he's like, it's the Time Lord Victorious bit. Obviously, Time Lord Victorious is a bad thing, but when he comes back and he's like, I'm going to save all you guys and I'm going to be cool. That's my favourite Doctor Who, David Tennant being the Doctor bit for me. But this one is probably the close second, and it's my favourite Christmas one because apparently, according to Aidan here and everyone else ever, Waters of Mars isn't a Christmas special. I always thought it was.
Well, seeing as it airs in October and is known as an autumn special.
I didn't know that because I hadn't seen it at the time. No, well, I did know what my brain was. I had a phrase to say there, but what I was meant to say, I saw it at the time. But ever since, obviously, I haven't seen it at the time. I've just seen it on Netflix or that kind of stuff. So I've never really ingrained in my mind that it's October. You know.
Yes.
So whenever I was thinking back to it, I was always like, "This is a damn good Christmas episode," because it ends up like with snow and Christmas, and so yeah, my favorite Christmas special isn't even a Christmas special.
Well, the next Christmas special along is where we start to lose momentum a little bit, because the next one is The Next Doctor. Now, it's a nice episode. It's just...
Can I tell you what was funny when me and my mum and my dad watched that when it first came out?
What?
Me and my mum were both like, oh, he's not the next Doctor, is he? Oh, we were genuinely, we were like, no. We were so against this new guy being the Doctor. We were like, what are you doing?
Well,
don't have him.
It's a clever ploy to do, though, because at the time, it was known that David Tennant is leaving. He did Series 4 just finished, and then he did 4 Next Doctor, Planet of the Dead, he did 5 specials after Series 4, so this was the first of them. So it was like, we know this is the last leg of this Doctor. So what do you do at that? What did Russell Davies decide to do at that time? He said, "Oh, let's make this a bit insidious. This is the next Doctor. Who we're going to get to play him? David Morrissey, who's been rumoured to play the Doctor for years. Let's get him to play the Doctor. Let's give him a funky outfit."
He would have been a good Doctor in hindsight, but at the time, I was so in love with David. I was like, me and Mum were like, no, we're not good with this.
Yeah.
What are you doing, you madman?
So it was a nice ploy, and the whole plot twist about Jackson Lake just having something that makes him think he's the Doctor. I can't quite think what it is
Wasn't it
now.
the pocket watch?
No.
Something like the pocket watch, I mean.
It's like a little device that the Cybermen dropped or something. I believe if this isn't true, then I'm close enough. But
Why don't you just tell me? I'll say it, because if I'm wrong, no one cares.
It's been a while since I said it, and there's no internet in this room, so I can't Google it. But I believe the plot of the episode is about Jackson Lake having his son has gone missing.
Yes,
and
you are correct.
I believe his son went missing at the hands of the Cybermen because they were using children to work their
child
factory.
labour, that kind of thing.
So when the Cybermen came into his house and took his child, I believe part of the Cyberman broke off. I don't know if he attacked Cyberman or something, but it's like their memory banks, and that flashed up all they know about the Doctor into his head. So then he thought he was the Doctor and forgot about his missing son. So he's going around like, I'm the Doctor, and he even has the companion whose name I do not know.
And the wooden screwdriver.
But they're running around. He has a screwdriver, but it's literally a screwdriver. So then by the end of the episode, the Doctor unravels all of this.
What's so special about your screwdriver? It knocks.
The Doctor reunites.
It's Sonic.
Him with his
How's it
son,
Sonic?
And he
Bang.
remembers. All of that I like. I really like the Jackson Lake side of it. It's the Cybermen. They're not good in this episode.
Aren't they?
No.
I don't remember them being bad.
They just sort of, they're there, and then they team up with an evil woman, and then, she gets betrayed, and it's just a bit like, ugh. It's not a bad episode, it's just forgettable. And then at the end,
it's
when
a bit boring, you know. You've seen it before, you've seen this, it's the classic evil genius bad guy.
How many times has an evil mastermind teamed up with the Daleks or the Cybermen, and then been betrayed by them? Do you know what I mean?
It's like, if you're so clever, you evil genius, maybe look at these. That's one good thing about the Master. He'll team up with people sometimes, depending on how he's feeling, but he'll always betray them back.
Yeah, because he knows they're going to betray him, so he'll betray them as well.
It's like the Joker. There's another Batman reference. Okay, I'm on a roll today.
Let's not go in Batman rabbit holes, but like the episode ends with, a giant Cyberman terrorizing London, and you think, really, that's not in any history books? And then the Doctor just goes, I'm going to suck you into a vortex. That's how the episode ends. And it's just like, oof.
Oof.
The next one is The End of Time, which we discussed last week. So you know our thoughts on that. And if you don't, go listen to that episode.
That's clever. Yeah. So if you want to be caught up, listen to last week's.
Yes. So the next one along is on the ranking lists that you'll see of Christmas specials. You either see Voyage of the Damned or Matt Smith's A Christmas Carol at number 1. You either see either or. This is a bloody good one. It's a Christmas it's a Christmas Carol completely pastiched, but my God, is this episode good? You're looking lost.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Bear with.
This is, of course, the episode where Amy and Rory are on their honeymoon, but then the ship starts crashing, and as it's falling, the Doctor goes down to the surface. As it's falling through this weird weather cloud that is being controlled by a man called Kazrak. The Doctor is, I think...
I have seen this episode, but I cannot remember it for the life of me.
Is it Kazrak or Kazran?
I'm so confused. What?
Look at who Michael Gambon plays. Is he Kazrak or Kazran? I think it's Kazran.
Kazran Shah something.
Yes, so he plays Kazran. He controls the weather of this planet, but he is Scrooge. So the Doctor goes down. He goes, "Can you turn off the weather cloud because there is a ship crashing and you're going to kill hundreds of thousands of people?" And he goes, "No, not my problem." And he's like, "You're going to kill all these people and you don't care?" And he goes, "No, I don't." So the Doctor, instead of just buzzing a sonic screwdriver at him, because the machine is tuned only to Kazran's biological print, this is the Doctor being a real-time manipulator. So he goes back in time and he literally changes Kazran as a person. He sees him as a child and he shows him Christmas, and he shows him all these things, and he befriends him and shows him a woman called Abigail. By the end of the episode, when Kazran's finally become a good person, and he opens up the weather cloud, it's so, oh my God, it is so good.
Honestly, I have seen this episode, and I know exactly what you're talking about, but I have no idea what you're on about.
You need to watch it this Christmas.
I will. I'm so confused.
Over Christmas,
Why don't
you need to see this episode, because...
Like, I reckon every picture I've seen, which I just searched on my phone, of that episode, I've seen that. I know it. But I cannot for the life of me remember this episode, and I want to know what's happened. Has someone attacked me? What has happened? Have I been Men in Blacked?
I don't know.
Neuralized? I don't know.
Either way,
It sounds like a
you
great
need to watch.
episode.
You need to watch this over Christmas this year, because it is
Yes, sir.
so good. And the list I watched this morning, I was saying I was doing a bit of research. The list I watched this morning, this was at number 1. Voyage of the Damned was number 2, and this was number 1.
I'll go watch it. Gives me something to do at Christmas.
However, Matt Smith's next Christmas special was The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. And I'm not even going to spend any time dwelling on this one, because, well, this is last place. This is the worst Christmas special. It's horrendous. A Christmas Carol really spoofed off A Christmas Carol and made it really good. This doesn't have any of the charm of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It's the Doctor crawling through snow with a child while Bill Bailey attacks these wooden monsters, and then Alexander Armstrong is in a Spitfire. That's the episode.
As you do. I mean, that sounds like that makes sense.
No, it's about 3 different things in one.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move swiftly on to the next one, which was The Snowman.
Aha. Finally, back in business
Have
here.
you seen this
I
one?
have seen that one.
This was a really good one. Got Richard E. Grant, came in as the Great Intelligence, a villain we hadn't seen since Patrick Troughton's era. We've got Clara as a Victorian barmaid, and to be honest, this is the Clara I wish had travelled with the Doctor, just to make it a bit more different than just...
Oh, no, and yeah, no, that's actually very interesting. A companion that isn't from our time.
Because it's been done... So many companions, most companions in Classic Who are not just earthbound modern day companions. Barely any of them. New Who, they all are. Every single one, besides Nardole, they literally all are. And I'm just like, when are we going to get somebody a bit different? And Clara, the Victorian barmaid, could have been the Victorian barmaid by night and Victorian governess by day. What a companion we could have had there. And she has the great... we've got the introduction of Matt Smith's second TARDIS here. We have a great reaction when she looks in, she looks around, she steps out and she goes, "It's smaller on the outside."
Yeah.
And the Doctor just goes, "Oh, never heard that one before."
It's a new one. No.
It's a really good episode, really good stakes. Because we know we're getting Clara as a companion, but we know Jenna Coleman is going to be the next companion, but this isn't who we thought we were getting. Oh, she's dead. Oh.
Yeah, when at the time I was completely lost because this was a time where I was dabbling in Doctor Who. So I was
Yes.
like, isn't she? No, wait, what?
So,
But no.
But it is a genuinely good episode.
It's a very good
And the
episode.
well, Richard E. Grant plays the embodiment of the Great Intelligence. Do you know who does the voice of the machine of the Great Intelligence? Ian McKellen. And
Wow.
Ian McKellen does not do crap. So,
Sorry, McKellen.
besides X-Men 3, but let's ignore that one.
Well, I think he kind of had. He was signed up for a contract. Kind of had to do that one. No.
Anyway, it's genuinely...
And the Snowmen are creepy. Can
They
I say
are.
that now? They
Jagged
are damn
teeth.
creepy. One thing about Matt Smith's era creeps me. I think that's part of the reason I kind of ran away from that era. 'Cause
It's
it
really Moffat.
creeped me out so much.
Moffat is... He has a lot of flaws, but where credit is due, he knows how to make a monster.
I like scary aliens, but I don't like. Right, I am a person who is
Moffat.
deathly afraid of aliens. Why am I into Doctor Who? It's such a weird
I don't
thing.
know. It's a poor combination.
But I love Doctor Who, but I like Alien. You know, Alien.
Yes.
Which is that's no wonder people keep invading you.
We'll get onto that one in a minute.
Aliens they freak me out. So why am I'm Doctor Who? I love, but the aliens freak me out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love it.
But it's genuinely a really good episode. And that's I don't really have anything negative to say. I can't think of anything with the Snowman. I didn't really like it when it aired. That's because I was really fatigued with a bit of Doctor Who at this time. But it's really gone up in my estimations over the years. And the Paternoster Gang, who are characters that you either love them or you hate them. There's no in between. They are the... there have been some strange... There's been varying Sherlock Holmes interpretations over the years.
Yeah.
We've had you can either go for the traditional Victorian
Yeah,
Deerstalker,
I know.
or you can have the Benedict Cumberbatch modern take.
Yeah, you've got Sherlock,
you've
got Sherlock Holmes, or you've got...
Yeah.
I know.
Or you can have the one where he turned into a lizard lesbian,
Right.
and that is the Paternoster Gang.
Oh, I had no idea who you were talking about, but as soon as you said lizard, and I was like, gotcha.
It's the
Speaking of, those freaked me out when I first saw them in their first Matt Smith era.
the Silurians.
Yeah. Why did
Actually,
they scare me?
Do you know who wrote that episode?
Who?
Chibnall.
Ah, well done, Chibnall.
Actually quite a good
you
one there.
made me not sleep for about a week. I don't know
Yeah.
why they freaked me out. As soon as they took their masks off, I'm like, I'm fine now. As soon as they put the masks on, I'm scared to death.
I think it's because they look creepy, but also because they live beneath the earth.
It's pure for me. Aliens is purely the looks for some reason.
No, I see.
So there you go. Okay. So what's the next episode?
The next episode along is Matt Smith's final episode, and that is
The one where he's in the tower, innit?
The Time of the Doctor, which again, I bloody love this one. I think it's one of the best regeneration, controversial opinion, I think it's one of the best regeneration stories. If somebody had to if somebody asked me, what do you think the final episode of Doctor Who ever would look like? I'd say The Time of the Doctor.
It's a shame it wasn't.
Because he is...
Maybe it should have ended then.
No, because then we would never have got Capaldi.
Yeah, but then what's now? The lowest
should have
viewing figures.
Should have ended after Capaldi. That's where it should have ended.
Do you think they should have done when Matt Smith gets his extra regenerations? Do you think they should have done, you get one regeneration and then you kind of have one last season and then everyone knows it's the last season?
Well, I wouldn't like to end it literally there. The way that I wouldn't have ended right to avoid the Chibnall era from happening. What I'd have done is Capaldi, when he regenerates, and he says, "Oh, one more lifetime won't hurt anybody."
Then just explodes.
Have him burst into regeneration. Credits. Because then you open up.
That's amazing,
potential
actually.
You open up potential for a reboot later in years, don't you? Because then you could say this is a Doctor later on, or this is the Doctor that came after Capaldi. You don't have to continue it exactly from there. You have absolutely any potential you want.
I don't know why they don't do that more often.
Do you know what I wish they would do? Not announce regenerations.
I was about to
or
say
say that we know this. They'd announce that this Doctor is leaving, but we don't know who's taking over. So
it'd be a nice surprise.
So
Because I'm sick. I'm genuinely, every time I see them announce a new Doctor, a part of me's like, yeah, but I don't like them in this thing or this thing. I judge them for their previous works in completely different mediums.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe it'd be quite nice. And to be honest, this is why I love it when they cast like Bonds and stuff, or Batmans, or anything like that. Those big roles when they cast unknowns who are just built for the role.
Like Matt Smith, he was unknown.
Yeah. So just seeing them start off in the role as the Doctor and just be like, okay, this is the Doctor, and then I fall in love with them as the Doctor. I don't have any preconceptions about them.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
would be really good, actually.
Like, although we're saying this one would have been open-ended, imagine what a surprise it would have been in Capaldi's episode, if he was regenerated into the first female Doctor, that'd be absolutely mind-blowing. But we knew it was coming.
Yeah, and I think it meant people got angry for some reason. I don't know why, but they kind of reacted. They reacted instead of just accepted, you know?
Yeah.
You were just like, oh, does this mean this is going to happen? Does this mean they're not going to be this kind of person? Where instead, if you see them as the Doctor straight away, you're like, all right.
Because then you've seen them, like
you judge at the end of the
seen
episode
them as the Doctor, so you go, oh, okay, I'll accept that.
Yeah. And then at the end of the episode, you can judge them on how they played the character, you know?
Yeah. But I think this, for Time of the Doctor, so it seemed to be discussing Twice Upon a Time a bit there. Like I said about the final feeling like the final Doctor episode, is because it's so many stakes in the sense that this is the Doctor, he can only stay here for so long, but you've got every species imaginable attacking this tower. And no matter how old the Doctor is, by the end of it, he looks so wrinkly and old, he's still taking them on. He's still fighting them. He's fighting.
It's the classic. No matter how many times you go down, get back up. You know.
Yeah. But also the whole thing about the silence. It's finally resolved.
Let's the silence. If I have to define one Doctor Who alien that genuinely stopped me from watching Doctor Who, it's them.
But they're finally resolved in this episode, and it's.
Did they die? What happened to them? Please tell me.
Well, because
I watched that episode, but I left the room when the silence came on. So.
The silence are, when they're introduced, we think the silence is the species. The silence is not the species. The silence is the religion. The religion is an order dedicated to stopping the question, the inevitable question. That's what the silence means. We are bringing an end to this question. The question,
Doctor Who,
is heard throughout series 6 and 7. It is Doctor Who. And that question, I think this is what it means, I might be slightly wrong, but is when the Time Lords are talking through the crack, they're asking Doctor Who, the monsters want to stop that. They don't want the Time Lords to come back, because if they do, it would either start a second time war, or these creatures just know that they're doomed. So the Silence are an order who want to kill the Doctor, and River Song is their design. They engineer her to be the perfect psychopath to kill the Doctor, and like he says, totally married her. So that's like...
Yeah, it's hot.
So, yeah. And then in this episode, we finally see the Church of the Silence, which is that great bit when Clara opens the TARDIS door and the Doctor's just stood completely naked. And she's like, what are you doing? He's like, going to church. Because it's a church you have to be naked in so they can see you're not concealing any weapons. That's the idea.
I mean, you could still... Okay.
So they wear like hologrammed projected clothes. That's how it looks. But in this episode, the Doctor teams up with the Silence. And when you see him in the tower, I was doing that earlier because he's swinging his staff around, and there's a great silhouetted shot when he's walking out of an explosion, swirling his staff around, and you've got the Silence on either side of him just zapping people with their hands, and it's amazing. Cybermen zapped by Silence. It's so good.
It's a nice kind of... It's like an Endgame thing. Loads of aliens, that kind of stuff. It's great.
Yeah, so that's why... It's probably why I like that, because it's sort of fan service, but it's also like, this is everything we know. Rah! And it's all Daleks invading and Cybermen invading, and the Cybermen even think, because a bit when their electric signals are being disrupted by the something, so they send in a wooden Cyberman, and the Doctor gets out his sonic screwdriver and he says, this can do absolutely anything you want. There's no point. I'm going to disable your systems now. So the Cyberman just gives up and shoots itself. Then as it falls to the floor, he just goes, jokes on you, this doesn't even do wood, and puts the sonic screwdriver away. So that's such an amazing moment. Genuinely like that one. And of course, I will like it as well because he turns into Capaldi at the end of it, which leads us on to the Capaldi era with Last Christmas I Gave You My Heart.
Is that your next album?
Yes.
It's kind of a,
carrying on from last week's. This is my Christmas album.
Hey,
it's coming soon.
Lovely.
Last Christmas
I Gave You My Heart
is essentially Alien meets Inception meets Doctor Who with Nick Frost as Santa.
Yeah.
And it's a good episode. It's got a couple of faults because Jenna Coleman said she was leaving the role of Clara about 3 different times. This was supposed to be one of them. So they wrote her out. And then when she said, no, I'm staying, Moffat was like, I sort of wrote everything to build up to this one scene. I'll make it a dream. And then we go from there.
Well, why don't you just cut the scene?
Because the whole episode
they should have just cut the
scene
from... Yeah, but then, as I've said, don't build up to a dream sequence.
Unless it's not supposed to build up. Well, the whole thing is a dream sequence. We're in about 4. There's a few times we go, we're in a dream. Wait, now we're in another dream.
I know. I don't like... Listen, dream sequences are good when they're the Matrix. Other than that, can you maybe not?
But I like them in this episode. It's grown on me over the years. I wasn't fussed on it when it was originally on. But it's grown on me. I do really like. I watched it recently because I'm in my Capaldi rewatch again, and I enjoyed it. I do. That line you said earlier about when the dream crabs, which are essentially just face huggers.
Don't mention those.
And
please don't.
One of the characters just says they're a bit like face huggers, aren't they? And the Doctor just goes, face huggers. He says, yeah, from the film Alien.
I know, that's my favourite. That's probably my favourite.
An amazing Capaldi line, which just goes, you've got a horror film called Alien. That's really offensive.
I know, and he's properly offended by it.
Yeah.
And I love it. And it's just like, what?
The next Capaldi one is The Husbands of River Song. Have you seen this
I don't like this one.
You don't like this one? Really? This is one of my favourite ones. Genuinely. David Tennant's introduction.
I got him there, didn't
David Tennant's introduction.
No, I do. Aiden's a good one. No, I saw you were I could see the glimmer. He was hopeful. He was looking at me like he was hoping I'd seen this one. I have, and it's a good one. It's not my favourite.
But it's not my favourite. But I think it's a genuinely really good one because it's. I like Matt Smith in River Song, but she maybe showed up a few too many times. The chemistry between Capaldi and Alex Kingston is amazing.
When the Doctor and River, when they're together, when River's like, "Oh, the Doctor will be here," and he's like, "Oh, well, yeah," and then when she finally realizes that it's the Doctor standing there, he's like, "Hello, honey," and it's like,
"Oh, come on, hello, sweetie."
Oh, I can't remember. Listen,
he says it across three Doctors.
Stop. You know when they realize, and then when they're talking, and she's like, "Oh, who are you?" and all that, blah blah. The Doctor will say this, blah 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 blah, and then she realizes, and he goes, "Hello, sweetie," and it's such an amazing moment. I love it so much.
Yeah, I love that when she opens the wallet and she's got the picture of all his faces, and he's like, "Well, maybe he got a new one." Well. And also the bit when she finds the TARDIS and opens it up, and he just closes it, and he goes, "Finally." And the guy next to me goes, "Finally," and he goes, "It's my turn." And he walks in and he's like, "Wow, my entire concept of space and time has been crushed." And he's like doing all of that. That's just so funny.
And it's the more you're saying, the more I like this episode. I think it's the bad guy, which kind of takes away some elements from me because it feels very
Greg Davis as King Hydroflax.
It's the suit really that kind of ruins it for me, and it
it
feels
looks
kind
cheap.
of with this episode, I can remember this one fully, which is great because I think definitely around kind of Matt Smith's kind of era, I did drop off. So you probably noticed I wasn't really saying much during those ones because I couldn't remember much of them. I do, but that's the weird thing. I knew bits of them, but with this episode, I know it fully. It's kind of, here's something that my parents have always said, and I've always said, we feel like Peter Capaldi's kind of like David Tennant's dad in a doctor-y kind of way.
Both Scottish.
So I've kind of jumped back in with Peter Capaldi in a weird way. Not like head
but
first.
It's like,
kind of
and also an amazing moment he has, and one of Capaldi's best moments is when we finally see the Singing Towers of Darillium, which is when we first introduced River Song with the David Tennant episode. We know that the last time she saw him before that was at the Singing Towers of Darillium. And we have that absolutely amazing bit when she arrives there, she opens up that little box, and it's the sonic screwdriver that she had in the David Tennant episode. The Doctor's in that brand new suit, and there's just such a good shot of Singing Towers of Darillium. Douglas McKinnon does that shot. He did some of the best Capaldi episodes. Honestly, so many Capaldi episodes were done by him, and they were just amazing. And this episode stands as not just one of my favourite Capaldi episodes.
The more I remember about
this, it's a genuinely really good Christmas special.
The more I remember, the better it gets.
Yeah,
and that's a testament to it. So honestly, very good actually.
Yeah, but do you know what happened after that? Doctor Who went on hiatus for a year. So there wasn't a series after this.
That's a good idea. You know, when you have people who want to watch Doctor Who, just give them time to forget about it.
Yes.
And develop different habits.
There was a Christmas special, no series. There was still a bit of Doctor Who content in 2016 besides the awful spin-off series that was Class. And that was the Christmas special, The Return of Dr. Mysterio. Named after Doctor Who's title in Mexico is Dr. Mysterio, and Capaldi loved that.
Amazing.
Capaldi loved that name so much. He went, why do we put that in a Doctor Who episode? So they made a superhero called the Ghost, and the Ghost knew the Doctor as Dr. Mysterio. really fun episode. I really like this one. It's using the same villains from, but the people with the slidey faces.
Yeah.
They come back for this episode. It's genuinely good. It's sort of just following the structure. It's another pastiche one. It's following
What pastiche?
pastiche.
What?
Like they did A Christmas Carol, then they did Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. This one is 1978's Superman the movie.
Gotcha.
And it's just so fun. It's if you're looking for credible, serious, hard drama, you're not going to find it here. Besides from,
I mean, the costume already doesn't scream serious hard drama, does it?
No. But the closest you can get is at the end of the episode, the Doctor makes a speech about losing people, and it's obviously to do with River Song because he knows he's just seen River Song for the last time. So he, so the whole speech he has at the end, he's very sort of kind of contemplative over the episode, and it's because he's dealing with losing River. Finally knows this is it. That's done now. So he makes a speech about everything ends and it's always sad, but everything begins again and it's always happy. And I think that's one of my favourite Doctor Who quotes, and it's a really good. That's the hard drama from the episode, but the rest of it is a fun superhero romp, and it's just, it's great. There's two moments that absolutely have me in hysterics. There's one bit where the aliens are in the villains are in their base, and they're looking at the security footage of the Doctor, and they're going, "Who is that? Why is he always in here?" But then the lights come on, and it turns out he's on the other side of the room, and he just goes, "Hey!" and turns around on the security cameras. That bit is hysterical. Then a bit later at the end, when they've defeated basically a bomb comes towards Earth, and the superhero throws it back into space. And
That's classic.
And the villain's like, "This isn't over, Doctor." And he points a gun at him. The Doctor just gets Sonic out, buzzes the gun. It sparks, falls on the floor, and he just goes, "Yes, it is." And turns around. There are two moments that I really, really like from that one. But Return of Dr. Mysterio is a really good episode. However, there was one more Christmas special after this. And that was Twice Upon a Time, Capaldi's final episode, which brought back the first Doctor. And
I know this one. Hooray!
you know what? It's one that gets hated on a lot by people. It might end up featuring in a later episode of this podcast. But for now, let's just talk about it here. I like it. I do. You don't look so sure.
Yeah, I don't know really with this one. It feels the whole idea of Peter Capaldi, his Doctor, forcing, like as we talked about in the last episode a little bit of this podcast. I mean, not the last episode of Doctor Who. Right.
Yes.
You know when he's you said how he's kind of forcing it for an hour and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of holding it back. That's very interesting. That's very well done. But him revisiting the first incarnation, that makes sense.
Well, it's not on purpose.
Yeah, I'm talking in terms of story. It makes sense in terms of story because it's the idea that you need to really kind of understand what the idea of being the Doctor is. So why not go back to the first one, you know?
Yeah, and it's also the first Doctor throughout the episode also doesn't want to regenerate because, let's ignore the timeless child, this is the first time the Doctor has regenerated and he is petrified of it. He doesn't know what it's going to feel like. He doesn't know what it's going to be. So we've got then the 12th Doctor is the first incarnation of his second regeneration cycles. There's a lot of parallels. This is him like going, do I continue? And then they're both in that state. So that's why they're together.
Yeah. But I don't really know if I feel comfortable with seeing the first Doctor again. I don't know. It just kind of, for a lot of people, probably felt like a bit of nostalgia or something like that. Or you probably enjoyed it because you've seen his episodes, haven't you?
Yeah.
Kind of meant now
that's the really interesting thing.
It was a nice idea, but it kind of meant nothing in a
It's
weird
the really
way.
interesting thing that people say doesn't work with this episode. Did you watch An Adventure in Space and Time that came out during the 50th anniversary?
Right.
It's a Mark Gatiss written film about the creation of Doctor Who.
No.
Seriously, you need to see it. It is so good.
Never even heard of it.
It's so good.
Yes,
it is ridiculous. Not even just good as Doctor Who. As a film itself, I'd say it's one of my favourite films ever. It's just incredible. And David Bradley plays William Hartnell in that. And he mastered William Hartnell so well. So well that not only does David Bradley do the voice of the first Doctor in the audio adventures, but they got him back in Doctor Who. So he plays the first Doctor in Twice Upon a Time. Oh, Adventure in Space and Time is so good, man. So when he's in this episode, he really feels like the first Doctor.
But the thing is, I don't know what that should be.
Yeah, however, for classic fans who don't like this episode, it's because of the way they portray the first Doctor. Now, what Moffat was trying to do was trying to make light of some of the more conservative and controversial opinions of 1960s Doctor Who. So he really channeled them into the first Doctor. Now, for me, it's okay because that is an era of Doctor Who that I watch and I go, oh, shouldn't have said that. Oh, you didn't fly that today.
Maybe don't. Yeah.
So Moffat addresses that, but for a lot of people, they say that the Doctor in this is a lot of people's first introduction to the first Doctor, and it's not a nice introduction. Like, there's a few. I think there's 2 lines in particular that people have to deal with, and he goes, "Old men, like young women, are put to good use cleaning the home," and he says things like that. And then there's a bit when in the TARDIS, and he goes, "Well, it's clear Polly's not here anymore because this is very dusty." And there's lines like that. People go, "Oh, don't like that." And there's a bit later on where Bill says something like, "I'll bloody hit you," or something like that. And then he opens the TARDIS door, pops his head out and goes, "Any more language like that, young lady, and I'll give you a smacked bottom." And his lines like that, people go, why have they portrayed the first Doctor in such a way? Now, for me, the first Doctor is about my 5th or 6th favourite Doctor. I really love him. But I do understand that. For you, who is essentially your first introduction to the first Doctor, it's a very strange way to get introduced.
It really kind of pushed me away from liking the first Doctor quite a lot. It was kind of like, I feel like that's the time when it was first made, and as you've said, it is. It's kind of reminiscent of that, but it felt like maybe don't write those bits in. Did you need them? No, you didn't. And it feels like you're kind of forcing me away from it. And you're being...
I'd say it represents that era of Doctor Who really well, but maybe not that Doctor. And something that although I really like the last 2 episodes, they didn't really feel very Christmassy. This one does as soon as we get onto the World War One battlefield, and it is the Christmas truce. Mm-hmm. That is something I was surprised hadn't been in a Christmas special up until this point. A show about time travel that has Christmas specials, I'd have had the Christmas truce in literally the first one I did. And
one thing I've got to say about that whole time setting, wow, it looks great, you know?
It does.
I mean, the sets, I think this episode of Doctor Who is one of the best when it comes to sets. Because there was no point where I was thinking, oh no, this doesn't look quite real. You know what I mean? It works.
So that's all the Christmas specials. Now that we've gone over them and refreshed your mind and people at home,
and told me about new ones that I maybe never.
So obviously I can't
say.
Is your favourite Return of Doctor Mysterio? And you're like, not seeing it. I can't say it is.
Yes, actually, Aidan,
so that won't work. But if you had to say, here, let's give a top 3 each. Let's give a top 3. So I'd say objectively, we know that Voyage of the Damned and A Christmas Carol are seen as the best ones.
Yes.
Because they're just so Christmassy and they're so Doctor Who, and
To be fair though, A Christmas Carol, how can that not be Christmassy?
Yes, of course. We know they are seen as the best ones.
What is my favourite?
The worst one is always seen as Doctor the Widow and the Wardrobe. Always. And usually the next Doctor as well.
Really? Oh,
yeah. It's usually... On those lists, you will most commonly see Doctor the Widow and the Wardrobe bottom, then the next Doctor, and then either Last Christmas or Twice Upon a Time.
I feel like saying the next Doctor is the worst. Kind of feel it because it's good. It's okay, you know. Saying it's the worst feels too harsh on it.
That's what I.
Saying it's the best feels like way too. You can't that's no way.
It's so middling. Yeah. But I can't think of what I like.
It's average. It's an average episode.
Thing is, I think it feels middling, but I can't think of what I like less to put further down the list. So to me, it probably would be second last.
Yeah, but I feel like putting it there feels wrong. It's a weird one. But my favourite would have to be Waters of Mars.
Waters of Mars.
No, right. My favourite, I would probably say... I really like Voyage of the Damned. But I may have to say Christmas Invasion is maybe my favourite, actually.
It is a good shout, because whenever I think of what is a Doctor Who Christmas special, I think of that bit of Mickey and Rose walking through a market and they see the robot Santas and they just start shooting bullets out of trombones and things. And I think that is so bloody Christmassy. It is such a good episode. It is seriously good. As much as I like Voyage of the Damned, and I know it is seen as the best one, I don't know if it's my favourite. Because even though I really like Astrid and I really like Wilf's introduction is in that episode, and even the guy at the end, the tour guide of the episode, who really doesn't understand Earth at all, and he's like, they all worship a god called Santa who has mighty claws, and he says things like that because he doesn't understand Earth history. I really like those elements. The villain I don't really like very much. I am Max. I don't really like him.
Ding.
Yeah, I have an emotional attachment to it, but I don't think I'd put it at number 1.
Okay. I just love Christmas Invasion, and I think it's probably one of my favourites. Objectively, it's not the best, really, because it's, you know what I mean?
Probably lingers too much on just the Earth soap drama rather than...
But it feels, and probably because when I was younger, it was when I was feeling the most Christmassy, you know? It feels the most Christmassy to me.
Yeah.
And as you were saying with Voyage of the Damned, it's good. It's really good. But I really don't think the bad guy's anything to write home about, you know?
Exactly.
I think the bad guy really flops in that episode.
Whereas you've got the Sycorax in the Christmas Invasion. I'm thinking if you...
Christmas Invasion.
Now that Christmas specials aren't on anymore, I see a lot of discussion like, well, which episode would you watch on Christmas Day? If you had to pick one of the...
Now, I'd pick either A Christmas Carol or any of those
That's
new
what I'm
ones.
about to say. If somebody's... Now that Doctor Who Christmas special isn't on anymore, if I had to pick a Doctor Who special to watch on Christmas Day, it would either be the Christmas Invasion or a Christmas Carol. Ironically, the only two that have the Christmas in the title. Maybe that proves how Christmassy they are.
Yeah, because they're based around the idea of being Christmas, not really something happening at Christmas. They're purely Christmas in the sense of it's Christmas, and this is what Christmas is, and blah, 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 blah. And, okay, so...
So they would be my favourite, because I think A Christmas Carol is so good.
Yeah. I can't put A Christmas Carol on my list.
if I had to put my number 1 out, as much as I love Capaldi, and I feel like I should say Capaldi 1, okay, they're good episodes. Are they very Christmassy? Husband's River Song is really, really good. Is it my favourite? No, A Christmas Invasion is. It really is.
There we go. I love Christmas Invasion. I do. Least favourite, from what I've seen... I don't know. It's hard for me to just say least favourite, because it's kind of like...
Well, because you've... there's a couple you've not seen.
No, but I'm just mean about the ones I have seen.
Yeah, but I'm about to say, because my least favourite is The Doctor, the Widow and the Wardrobe. It's atrocious. You haven't seen that one?
No.
So which is your least favourite?
Because I can't really... Right.
Oh, no, I've suddenly just thought, but The Runaway Bride is really good. Is that my...
Oh, I completely forgot it.
Oh, is that my favourite?
You
know what? I think it could be, because that still feels Christmassy. It's got Donna in it. It's got that moment with the Doctor, you can stop now. It's got the whole her wooing Lance.
No, for me, Runaway Bride is my 3rd favourite. Close, really close with Voyage of the Damned, but it's my 3rd favourite.
You know what? I'm backtracking on my own decision. Runaway Bride's my favourite. Thinking about it, suddenly just jumped from my mind.
Why did we forget about that? It's the same thing. It's so good.
It's because I was thinking about Voyage of the Damned and Christmas Invasion. I thought they were next to each other, and then I suddenly just thought, hold no, there's one in between, and that's Runaway Bride, that is my favourite.
3rd favourite. Easy. Just, it's good. Not perfect. No. Right, least favourite. I'm going to have to put...
You're going to say it, aren't you? I know what you're about to say. I can feel it coming.
The Next Doctor.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Twice Upon a Time.
It's so...
Meh.
Yeah. It just feels like an average episode, you know? Just a normal episode.
Yeah.
And
that's
that's
the
the
thing.
problem.
It's like, I like the Cybermen. I like the plot twist.
But the Cybermen have better episodes, which they're better
I
in.
like the plot twist with Jackson Lake, and I like the Cybermen. But you put them together, it doesn't work for me.
Focus on one of those elements, maybe.
Yeah.
If you focus on the Next Doctor, it'd be better. If you focused on the Cybermen and get rid of the giant Cybermen, just focus on the Next Doctor, and it'd be better. But no, I would have to say that's my least favourite. Not going to say worst. Least favourite. What is objectively the best?
That's it. It's not the worst, but it's my least favourite, so it's not bad. I just don't like it as much as others.
What's objectively the best, though? I think we do have to say Voyage of the Damned.
Objectively the best?
Yes.
It's Voyage of the Damned or Christmas Carol.
What's objectively the worst?
Doctor, the Widow and the Wardrobe. It's just atrocious.
But Joe,
what's your favourite?
I was about to say.
What's your favourite Christmas special?
What do you guys...
If you're listening on YouTube, let us know in the...
Let us know.
Let us know in the comments.
Let us know in the comments. Remember to drop us a like. And subscribe. I don't know. But no. Yeah.
But now you know ours. And that brings us to the end.
Lovely jubbly.
So, thank you for listening. Look out this year. Anybody you see dressed as Santa playing a trombone, do not go near them. Stay a few feet away from your Christmas tree in case it starts attacking you.
Yeah, I'm sorry about this one. I know he's trying to be funny. But no. But genuinely, thank you for listening, and I hope you all have a Merry Christmas.
Goodbye.
Auf Wiedersehen.